The following story is taken from a book by Dr. Melvin Cheatham. It's called Make a Difference, Responding to God's Call to Love the World. Chapter 7, We Must First Believe. Mark 9:23 says, "If you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes." Dr. Billy Graham has traveled as an evangelist to many countries in the world and says that wherever he has gone, he's found people who believe that there must be a God, a supreme being, a creator. Both here at home and around the world, people worship God in different ways. There are many religions, but the Bible tells us that there's only one true God and that we are to believe in Him, love Him, and follow His commandments. We are to believe in His Son, Jesus Christ, and that only through Him can we come to the Father and experience eternal life, John 14:6. Charles Sawyer believes, tall and stately, with hair white as snow, he welcomes guests of the Billy Graham Training Center who come to be taught the Bible. This beautiful Christian retreat in the Smoky Mountains of western North Carolina is very near the place where Charlie was born 82 years ago. With his wide grin and warm handshake, he greeted Sylvia and me on one particular October morning. I asked him what led him to this position as official greeter at the Billy Graham Center. A people person for God. Charlie thought for a moment, widened his grin, and he said, "Even as a small boy, I guess I was a people person. From the time I started school, I always had lots of friends. In fact, 4 of my high school buddies were as close to me as a family. Hubert Garrison, James Roberts, Kenneth Buckner, Fred Davis, and I. We were all classmates, all the way from grade school to high school graduation. World War II was just beginning when we graduated from Weaverville High School, and feeling a responsibility to serve our country, all 5 of us enlisted in the Marine Corps. Hubert, James, and I had our training at Camp Pendleton in California, and then we were sent to the Pacific. Kenneth and Fred trained at a different boot camp before also being assigned to duty in the South Pacific, fighting the Japanese. Our unit was assigned to take Saipan in the Mariana Islands. The 3 of us landed together under heavy Japanese artillery fire. I was knocked to the ground by exploding shells, but managed to crawl under a tree along with Hubie and Jimmy. Then a terrible thing happened. An enemy artillery shell landed right where we were, and they were both killed right in front of me." Charlie paused for a moment with his eyes tearing up, and he seemed to be looking far away and long ago. And then he continued, sharing that the battle for Saipan lasted 28 days, he said. And on 2 or more occasions, I narrowly escaped injury and death. Freddie Davis, one of my other buddies from Weaverville, was not so fortunate. While fighting with his unit on Saipan, he was killed by enemy fire. So after securing Saipan, we invaded Tinian Island, captured it, and then we moved on to Iwo Jima. I was wounded on the 7th day of that bloody battle when a Japanese shell exploded in the hole in which 5 other guys and I had taken cover. 3 of my friends were instantly killed. The other 2 were critically wounded. The injury I suffered was from shrapnel and the concussion of the explosion. By then, I was having a pretty hard time dealing with the loss of so many close friends and being wounded myself. Then I learned that Kenny Buckner, my only remaining childhood buddy, had also been killed at Iwo Jima. I was overwhelmed with sadness. 8 months later, they gave me a medical discharge from the Marines, and I went home. After about a year of rehabilitation, I met and fell in love with and married Maxine, the most wonderful girl in the world. I went to work in sales for a steel company in Asheville, North Carolina, soon became a vice president. For 38 years, I worked hard for that company, but because of poor management, it went bankrupt, and I ended up with no retirement benefits. Looking back on the terrible memories of the war and experiencing the depression of having lost my retirement benefits, I became bitter. During my years in sales, entertaining customers and keeping up with friendships, I considered myself a social drinker. But due to my bitterness, I turned to the bottle, thinking it would help me escape the painful feelings that began to overwhelm me. Then one day, when things had gotten really bad, a glorious thing happened. I heard God's voice speaking to me. Well, it wasn't an audible voice, but I felt the Lord tapping me on the shoulder to make sure He had my attention. So I stopped and listened, and He said, "Charlie, you're kidding yourself, and your behavior isn't being fair to your family. Throw that bottle down and get on my team." Right then and there, I got down on my knees and asked God for His forgiveness for the sins in my life. And He did forgive me. And with His help, I haven't touched a drop of liquor in 18 years. My wonderful wife, Maxine, and I have been married for 57 years now. We have a lovely daughter in Georgia and a wonderful son in Miami, Florida. He's a minister primarily serving Spanish-speaking people. And he and our daughter-in-law have 5 children who grew up in Spain and Latin America and Miami. So they have a special heart for the world. Maxine and I feel really blessed by our children and grandchildren. I've been a member of Weaverville Presbyterian Church for 67 years, and on Sunday you'll find me there singing in the choir. But I know being a church member doesn't automatically make a person a Christian. When I got around to listening to what God was saying to me and then rededicated my life to His service, my life became new again. Part of having that new life was finally being able to deal with the question I had asked myself over and over and over again all those years. Why, Lord? Why did Hubie and Jimmy, Kenny and Freddie lose their lives over there in the Pacific fighting in a war in our dangerous world, and you allowed me to come back again to home? Why have you blessed me so abundantly, giving me a wonderful wife, children, grandchildren, the gift of living into my 80s and maybe beyond? I finally realized the answer, that God still had work for me to do for Him. At about that time, 13 years ago, I heard about the new Billy Graham Training Center at the Cove. So I came up here and asked them if there was something a retired vice president of a now bankrupt steel company might be able to do here that would make a difference in the lives of others. They said something about how good I was at meeting people, and they believed God wanted me to serve Him by opening the door at the main entrance, greeting people each morning, making them feel welcome here. The past 13 years of the Cove have been the high point of my life. So Charlie has taken the special gift that was given to him as a people person, and he uses his friendly smile to warm the hearts of others, to bring honor and glory to the Lord. Most people he welcomes to the Cove already believe. They've come to the Billy Graham Training Center to learn more about serving the Lord and what the Bible teaches. But some people do come as seekers, and perhaps God uses Charlie's smile and his warm, friendly manner as that first step in opening their hearts and minds to Him. Charlie's heart is filled with love for Jesus Christ, and he's come to know that his mission field is sharing that love with others right where he lives. If God wills it and gives him the strength and good health to do it, he plans to be standing there at the Cove, opening that door for others every morning for the rest of his life. God has called Charlie Sawyer to show his love for others, and he considers himself wonderfully blessed in having been given this opportunity to give others in this way. And Charlie has said to the Lord, "Yes, Lord, go. I'll go. Send me. I'll go up to the Cove at 6 o'clock each morning and open the door for people on your behalf, knowing this is what you have called me to do."